Viewers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I hope you're enjoying Ramadan thus far. And welcome back to another episode of Align with the Divine. Today's ayah is very important. There's a lot to unpack. So I'll begin. Allah Azza wa Jal says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. قال ما منعك ألا تسجد إذ أمرتك قال أنا خير منه خلقتني من نار وخلقته من طين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and what is it? He's talking to Iblees here. And what is the matter with you that you have not prostrated when I have commanded you to do so? Iblees turned around and said, I am better than him, i.e. Adam alayhi salam. You created me from fire and you created him from clay. Wow. Like such a powerful story when you follow the whole story from beginning to end. And then from that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from that wording, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kicked out and banished Iblees from Jannah, from that statement. Why was it that that statement angered Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so much? Why? It was because Iblees here was creating a hierarchy that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hadn't created. And this is very, very, very important message. Iblees created a hierarchy that is not recognized as a hierarchy by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The hierarchy that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created is the one who's most closest to Allah, the one who does most right by Allah, the one who is most upright according to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then that's the only hierarchy Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala weighs between his believers and servants. But when someone's now saying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you've created me from fire and you created him from clay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying, I don't recognize this hierarchy, so who are you to now build this hierarchy as a metric now? Who are you to do this? I am Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Only I have the authority to do this. Why are you challenging my dominion? Why are you challenging my authority now? So it's much bigger than you created him from this and you created him from that. It's much, much, much bigger. And that is why a lot of people say that the first racist to ever exist was Iblees, because he created that metric. I am better than him based on my innate features. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, who cares about innate features here? It's about what the heart and mind is tied to in terms of belief and then action. How I want to link this to our life today, dear viewers, is we have lived in a world which sadly, obviously we haven't chosen the cards that were dealt to us, but we live in a world where so many skewed metrics exist and we were born into them. So children as young as like 7, 8 years old, they feel insecure if they don't have like the latest pair of trainers or like a mobile phone or a games console. So they start becoming insecure. But why? Where's that insecurity come from? It comes from a hierarchy in a world that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't even create that hierarchy, which is what? Materialism. You are defined by what you materially own. If you have like a super cool phone, or you have like a designer jacket, or you have like a sports car, then yeah, you're the guy. But who's even created that? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hasn't created that as a metric. And similarly, and this even comes down to like Muslims when it comes to how we conduct certain community events. So even though we say, we believe in Islam, etc., there's like a bit of truth we have to accept that we still succumb to some of these hierarchies. And I'll give you an example of weddings. If someone has like a normal, humble wedding, you know 1,000,000% that that person's going to be spoken about. They couldn't afford a sports car. The food was all manky. He wasn't even wearing a nice suit. We're basically doing what Iblees did with Adam alayhi salam. What's really different? The action wasn't the same. But the thinking is, the framework of thinking is exactly the same. Why is it the same? Because we're succumbing to a hierarchy that Allah didn't create. We made it about money, we've made it about show, we've made it about who has what, we've made it about who wears what, how much money people, how many investments. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, forget all of this. This is not even something I've created. This is challenging my dominion and authority. Who are you to now put down a criteria for what insan is meant to strive for and what he's meant to abstain from? So what we learn from this, dear viewers, is we should not succumb to any hierarchy that hasn't been put down by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In fact, we should do the opposite. We should double down on the hierarchy that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created, even if it comes at the cost of people laughing and mocking us. Do you know why? Because at least then the needle will slowly change. So we should be more humble in the way we conduct our weddings. We should be more humble in the way we discuss and talk about conversations, meaning when we get together, why is it always about money and cars and who's got the latest job and the next biggest investment? That's not what we're looking to seek towards. That's not what the mission Allah's put down for us. It's something much bigger. Even conversations between spouses and friends and parents and children should never be around these things, because you're actually giving precedent to a hierarchy that Allah didn't create. So those are my two messages from this ayah, that don't succumb to it, i.e. don't shape your life according to it, because Allah didn't create it like that. And number two, go against it by upholding the hierarchy Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created to challenge and battle that. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who truly recognize the metrics that are worth living by and recognize the metrics that aren't worth living by. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.